Good evening, I'm Dennis Ward. Welcome to APTN National News. We begin on the election campaign with one of the larger landmass ridings in Canada and one that is also considered a swing riding. The last federal election had a voter turnout of 57%. It's called Kenora, Kiiwetinoong and has 6 candidate hopefuls, half of which are First Nation. Here's T.R. Wheatley with a look at Kenora, Kiiwetinoong.
NDP hopeful Tanya Cameron canvasses Shoal Lake 39 Reserve. This is her 3rd election. She ran in 2008 and again in 2011. She's been working for Elections Canada since 2014 until now.
Looking for your support on election day.
This is Kenora, Kiiwetinoong. It's massive, over 250,000 square kilometers, basically a third of Ontario. Shoal Lake 39 is just one of 38 First Nations in the riding, and of those, about half are fly-in only.
35 will have polling stations, I hope. There's a lot of issues when it comes to trying to represent not only the First Nation needs that currently exist, but also in the towns and the municipalities that have infrastructure needs. They need improved access of funding to health care, to education, and of course that's federal transfer funding, right?
Census 2021 shows nearly 62,000 people live here, and just over half identify as Indigenous. Break those numbers down more, a third of the population lives around Kenora, where Cameron has already knocked on a lot of doors.
I was looking at my odometer and I'm at just over 2,600 kilometers of driving and 52 hours of drive time. Because this riding is so huge, it goes down to Nestor Falls and Nunavut First Nation, up the Manitoba border, all the way to Fort Severn, and then comes down to Ignace and back here. So I've been putting in a lot of mileage in terms of getting to each of the communities, towns and cities to campaign, and I haven't even got to Ear Falls, Red Lake, Sulakout, Pickle Lake, but that's on my list for next week.
There are also 2 First Nation men running. Liberal Charles Fox is a former Anishinaabe Nation leader. Independent Kelvin Boucher Chicago, he's run here twice in 2014 and 2019. John Hobbs is running for the Green Party, Bryce Desjardins for the People's Party of Canada, and Conservative Eric Melillo is the incumbent. At his campaign HQ, a sign. If the door is locked, he's out campaigning, and a local number to call.
And is this the best number to reach you at?
Yes, it is. Is he in town today?
I'm not sure at the moment. Can I get your name again, please?
This isn't the first time that Conservative candidate Eric Melillo did not make himself available for APTN. Back in the 2021 election, he also did not do an interview with us. In Kenora, not a Liberal sign or HQ in sight, nor a response to APTN as of airtime. The riding is identified by the Assembly of First Nations as one of 36 ridings where First Nations voters can have an impact.
We're not going to form government.
Despite this, Hobbs says there is already a foundation in place outlined for building a better relationship between Canada and Indigenous peoples.
I'm an architect, and we gave our greatest medal, the gold medal, to Murray Sinclair for the Truth and Reconciliation Commission, and we really should finish the recommendations in his honor to go see those through.
Beyond that, Hobbs says there are some immediate needs in the area.
Housing is always an issue. Drugs an issue. I don't have the answer to that, but we've got to work together, urban cities everywhere, to fight that.
Meanwhile, Boucher Chicago already checks in with the homeless and unhoused, focusing his campaign on the most vulnerable, relying on his own personal experiences.
I know the ins and outs of what these people are going through. My dad died out here. He was out here for 45 years. I have a daughter that's out here. She's been out here for I don't know how long. And I have many relatives, and I've seen many of them passed away.
He's choosing to be independent because he says most of the major parties have some laws he can't support.
I like to use my good friend John Rafferty. He was from Thunder Bay back in 2007, can't remember exact dates, but he opposed the gun law registration. And for opposing the gun law registration, he was put in the corner.
Since the riding was created over 2 decades ago, it's flip-flopped from Conservative to Liberal. But despite all the efforts to engage Indigenous voters, polls predict it could be another Conservative win here. T.R. Wheatley, APTN National News, Kenora.
Thanks, TR. In the coming days, TR will introduce you to some voters in Kenora, Kiiwetinoong, and hear what issues matter to them. Now to BC, where for the first time an Indigenous man is hoping to be the next Member of Parliament for Vancouver Quadra. APTN's Tina House has that story.
Building so much momentum in Vancouver Quadra. Thank you all for your help. Thank you all for your volunteerism. Now let's get out there and win this race. Let's go!
It's a busy day at Wade Grant's headquarters as he prepares for another day of campaigning in the Vancouver Quadra riding, a Liberal stronghold since 1984. Grant is from the Musqueam Nation, and he comes from a long line of leadership. He is making history as the first Indigenous person to run in this riding.
Well, my mother was chief when I was a child. Politics has been in my blood. I was born and raised in this riding, and I think I owe it to the people that helped me become the person I am today. And I want to continue this journey with the Liberal Party because I want my kids and my grandkids to have a bright future in this country.
Also hoping to become the next Member of Parliament for Vancouver Quadra is Tom Digby, who is running for the Green Party.
We've got a great campaign we're rolling out, putting the environment first, and I have a great deal of experience in business and in government, so I think I really am ready to be the voice of Vancouver Quadra in Ottawa.
And also running in the Vancouver Quadra riding is Alam Fakarani for the New Democratic Party and Ken Charco for the Conservative Party of Canada. However, both of those candidates did not get back to us for an interview. For Wade Grant, if elected, his priority is to continue finding ways to advance reconciliation.
I've also worked at the highest level of government in British Columbia in the Premier's office, and I've made connections right across the country, not only with just the First Nations community, but with the greater community itself, creating real reconciliation that's going to be important as we move forward into the next 4 years.
And for Tom Digby, his goals, if elected, are to support a strong economy.
I'm a business green. I really focus on establishing clean technologies as the way to move forward. I mean, we really have to stop this oil and gas production. We have to stop public subsidies into that. If the industry wants to run itself, that's fine. But we're putting so much public money into oil and gas that it's pushing us way too far down the wrong road.
Hello, I'm Wade Grant. I'm the Liberal candidate in Vancouver Quadra.
And the campaigning continues as we get closer to April 28th, when voters from across Canada get their say in who will run this next government. Tina House, APTN National News, Vancouver.
The Yukon only has one seat in the House of Commons, and there are 4 candidates vying for the role of the territory's next MP. While none are Indigenous, the candidates we spoke to say Indigenous priorities will be top of mind if elected. Sarah Connors has that story.
The Yukon riding covers more than 480,000 square kilometers, but despite its massive geography, it only has one seat in the House of Commons. That one seat represents the entire territory, which is about 47,000 people and has essentially been a Liberal stronghold for the last 25 years. So, who are Yukoners voting for? Incumbent Brendan Hanley is running a second time for the Liberals. His main focuses are facing up to the threat of U.S. tariffs, affordability, and tackling the housing crisis. He says the Liberals are the first party in modern times to work seriously with Indigenous governments to advance reconciliation.
It means working with First Nations as nations, as governments, and continuing to advance that government-to-government relationship to address many of the priorities and many of the opportunities that are here for our First Nation governments.
Running for the NDP is Catherine McCallum, a political newcomer originally from Australia who has a background in theatre. Her priorities include affordability, expanding the pharmacare program, and eliminating tax loopholes for mega corporations. McCallum says she's eager to work with Indigenous people in the territory on issues important to them.
The one thing that I think is the most important is to make sure that Yukon governments and organizations and communities are at the table for all conversations, to make sure that we are representing people in a way that they wish to be represented, and to make sure that we are managing policy in a way that actually works for communities.
Gabrielle Dupont, who's running for the Greens, is another fresh face to politics. Dupont, who works in architectural drafting, says she's committed to fighting climate change. She wants to champion clean energy projects in the territory and tackle the territory's affordable housing crisis. If elected, Dupont says she would listen to Indigenous people and advocate for clean energy projects important to them.
They do want to see changes happening at many levels in their relationship with the federal government.
Lastly, Ryan Leaf is running for the Conservatives. Leaf previously served as Yukon's MP from 2011 to 2015, but lost the seat to Liberal Larry Bagnall. He made headlines at the time after he conducted a citizen's arrest on a woman he caught vandalizing his campaign signs. Leaf was not available for an interview with APTN News by our deadline, but his stated campaign
Apologies for some technical difficulties there. Time for a quick break, but first, our Northern Ontario reporter, Mike McDonald, has returned to his old stomping grounds in Thunder Bay this week. Here's a preview of what he's been up to.
Reporting from the land of the sleeping giant. In the coming weeks, I will be bringing you stories from Thunder Bay, Ontario, including a look at the federal riding of Thunder Bay Superior North. With the federal election quickly approaching, we'll speak with the candidates running to represent this riding, which according to recent data could be switched depending on the Indigenous vote.
Welcome back. As the lucrative Elver season continues in the Atlantic region, a 46-year-old Mi'kmaq harvester from the Millbrook First Nation was arrested for obstructing a fishery officer and assaulting a peace officer. The Nova Scotia RCMP say last Friday, fisheries officers were attempting to conduct an inspection on the Tangier River, 90 kilometers east of Halifax, when the accused allegedly tried to take back Elver fishing nets from the officers. RCMP say he resisted arrest and a struggle ensued, resulting in minor injuries. The harvester was assessed by paramedics and later released. He is to appear in Dartmouth Provincial Court on May 21st. He was not identified by police. The family of a young man from the Onion Lake First Nation in Saskatchewan held a memorial walk for him on Sunday and called for a stronger police investigation into how he died. Rachel May has more.
I know something happened to Serraine. Serraine, that was about 12:17 when he walked out of sight, and he might have been drinking, but you know, it's a five kilometer walk where his remains were found, and in that time he would have walked sober. He would have been sober by the time he got there.
On Sunday, April 13th, the family of Serraine Keymatch walked from the small town Alcurve, Alberta, to Keymatch's home community of Onion Lake, Saskatchewan, just under 29 kilometers away. Keymatch was last seen just after noon on April 10th, 2024, on surveillance footage from a gas station in Alcurve. His family searched for 6 months, but it was a group of ranchers who found his remains on October 28th, 2024, in shrubs just a few kilometers north of Alcurve. His foster father and uncle, Marvin Misto, said authorities didn't do enough to find Keymatch.
There wasn't enough effort put into the investigation. They should have been out here. At times there was just me and four of us walking, me and my family searching, and there was no authority, no authoritative figure walking with us, searching with us. It was pretty much all done by ourselves.
Misto said the coroner told his family that Keymatch died of exposure, and on October 31st, 2024, the RCMP said they would not be investigating any further. He says the family doesn't believe there was no foul play, and he believes that Serraine was murdered.
There's no way, what the coroner said was he might have died of exposure, that there was no foul play. I don't believe that one bit, because it was warm, it was broad daylight, nobody saw him on the road at all. There was a lot of traffic going through here. There was even 2 charter buses full of people going to Calgary that day, and they never saw him. Something happened just beyond where he walked out of sight.
Misto said he wants RCMP to return and investigate further, believing not enough was done. Rachel May, APTN National News, Saskatoon.
Today in southern Manitoba, chiefs and proxies are gathered for the first day of the Southern Chiefs Organization Summit. According to a notice obtained by APTN, the meeting was called in March by SCO Grand Chief Jerry Daniels, about 2 months after a private chiefs and summit in January. APTN Sierra Bettens joins us now with more.
We're here near the Kiiwetinoong Gaming Center on Long Plain First Nation territory, where the Southern Chiefs Organization is hosting a summit. The notice about the 2-day summit, obtained by APTN News, was issued on March 27th by SCO Grand Chief Jerry Daniels, inviting chiefs or their proxies to the summit. The event isn't open to media, and we don't know exactly what's on the agenda. A source tells us that information was not shared prior to the summit. What we do know is that last week, Lake Manitoba First Nation Chief Cornell McLean told APTN that Daniels wants to discuss his addictions treatment. Back in January, Daniels met with chiefs at an undisclosed location to discuss this. McLean says at that meeting, one of the chiefs filed a motion asking Grand Chief Daniels to renew his oath of office. APTN will continue to follow the summit as more information comes to light. Back to you.
Thanks, Sierra. Manitoba Premier Wab Kinew has announced plans to send hydroelectricity to 5 communities in Nunavut. Kinew plans to team up with the Inuit-owned Nukik Corporation to build a 1,200-kilometer fiber optic line that would connect Manitoba's existing hydro grid to Arviette, Baker Lake, Chesterfield Inlet, Rankin Inlet, and Whale Cove on the west coast of James Bay. All 5 communities depend on diesel-fueled generators. Canoe also said that contracts with a number of northern U.S. states are not going to be renewed. This would free up about 500 megawatts of power, which would be redistributed throughout Canada, including Nunavut.
Still going to be good partners and reliable partners for our American export market, but the reality is we're also going to step up to a new level of engagement in terms of leading the energy conversation in Canada. And part of that means helping to decarbonize the north in Nunavut, but hopefully we can also talk about decarbonizing and exporting energy to the west as well as other parts of Canada.
Well, only in Canada. The Montreal Canadiens' playoff hopes are on the line tomorrow night, and that has led to a time change for the French language leaders debate. We'll bring you the latest on that after the break. Welcome back. Time now for a photo of the day. And spring has sprung, and the rascally rabbits are out and about. Tia Mojelski spots them regularly hopping around her neighborhood in Winnipeg. Thanks, Tia, for sending that in. You can send your photos to share@aptn.ca for the chance to be our next photo of the day. Now let's take a look at tomorrow's weather forecast. Starting on the East Coast, 9 with showers in Fredericton, rain, and 12 in Halifax. +1 with snow in Kuujjuaq and Nain. 6 with flurries in Montreal, 1 below, and snow in Val-d'Or. Sunny and 4 in Sault Ste. Marie, 2 with flurries in North Bay. Sunny and 7 in Thunder Bay, 8 above under sunny skies in Sioux Lookout. 6 in God's Lake, 5 for Norway House. 14 in Winnipeg, cloudy and 12 in Dauphin and Brandon. 11 in Regina and Saskatoon, 10 in North Battleford. 9 in Meadow Lake, 8 in La Ronge. In northern Alberta, 9 in High Level, 1 above in Fort Chipewyan. 9 in Edmonton, cloudy and 8 in Medicine Hat. Sunny and 13 in Vancouver, 17 under sunny skies in Victoria. 9 with the sun out in Prince George, 12 in Smithers. 3 in Old Crow, 8 in Whitehorse. -2 in Yellowknife, 4 above in Norman Wells. -11 with snow in Sax Harbor, 0 in flurries in Paulatuck. -17 in Chesterfield, 14 below in Arviette. -18 in Resolute, 19 below in Joe Haven. Federal party leaders will be squaring off this week in back-to-back debates, and APTN News will be there to bring you extensive coverage of both events. First up is the French language debate taking place tomorrow night, and there have now been some major changes thanks to a Montreal Canadiens hockey game. The debate Wednesday night has now been moved up by 2 hours and will begin at 6 p.m. Eastern Time to accommodate the Habs versus the Carolina Hurricanes, as the Canadiens' playoff hopes are on the line. You can watch the debate in its entirety here on APTN beginning at 6 p.m. Eastern. We'll also have a pre-show with Nouvelle Nationale host Kim Sullivan and her guests, Chief Constant Awashish and guest Mayati Lebrec Saganash. That will now begin at 5:30 Eastern Time and will also preempt the APTN National News tomorrow night. Kim and her guests will also be back at 8 p.m. Eastern Time to discuss what unfolded during the debate. And then on Thursday, you can watch the English language leaders debate live on APTN at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. Creason and I will be live at 6:30 p.m. Eastern Time, right after your APTN National News. We'll be joined by Pam Palmater, Jennifer Leywitz, and Cam Holstrom to queue up the debate. We'll also have a half-hour post-show following the debate at 9 p.m. Eastern Time. Our APTN Languages channel will also present the show in Plains Cree at the same time. And then the debate will re-air on languages in Inuktitut and Anishinaabemowin. And so just a reminder, our Special Decision 2025 coverage of the French language leaders debate begins 5:30 Eastern Time here tomorrow night. That's all the time we have for your APTN National News for this evening. I'm Dennis Ward. Marcy McGuitch, thanks for being with us. Stick around. Face to Face is next. Have a great night.